right, hello everyone. We're here with Sebastian. He's one of the founders of Aqua Miners. And well, I'm the other founder, actually, just the two of us this time. And we are going to be discussing some things that happened in the industry this past few weeks, just kind of gossiping a little bit about everything that's been going on lately, which is actually a lot. And of course, we're going to start with the first subject, which is the big topic this week, the merge. But first, Sebastian, how are you?
Oh, good. How's everybody? Glad to be here talking to you.
Good. Now, the merge. What are your thoughts about it? Did you think it went properly? How do you feel the vibe on social media? I think it was in the community, the industry was all mixed up, right? We got the hate, the love, everything around it.
Yeah, it was funny because our project deals with Bitcoin mining and Ethereum smart contracts. So we kind of, especially myself, I dive in the two worlds a lot. So I go with the Bitcoin maximalisms and I go with the Ethereum maximalisms, and it's like I'm in the middle. But it's really funny because they're all like saying, like, for example, if you go on the Bitcoin side, or like Ethereum is worthless. If you go from the Ethereum side, Bitcoin is worthless. So it was very interesting to be in the middle of that crossfire. But at the end, I think at the end it's just about what the two technologies are trying to do. And I think there is nothing like this one is worse than the other one, or this one is better than the other one. It's just one has a very clear objective, which I think is to store value, which is reflected on Bitcoin. And I think at the end, it's going to become like the reserve kind of currency, or the reserve coin. And I think Ethereum was right to move to a proof of stake, even if the miners didn't kind of like that kind of approach, and it's going to sacrifice a little bit of security at the beginning, and we'll see how it goes. But I think it's the right move if you really want to do a lot of applications and a lot of things that can be built on the network. So you do really need a way of having a faster network, and not only that, but a way of having a better consensus and better way of voting, and not only depending on machine power or hash power just to do it. So I think in that sense, I think the merge is the right approach. But I also think that it doesn't mean that it's going to be better than Bitcoin. I don't really believe so. I just think one does one thing and the other one does another thing. So that's what I think about the merge. That's kind of my thoughts about it. I'm more neutral, grounded. I'm not maximalism for one or for the other one. I like both of them. I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, and I think Ethereum smart contract technology is awesome. But I also think that the story of value and security provided by Bitcoin is also awesome. So the two things complement each other very well, and that's what we're trying to do in our project as well. We're trying to use both technologies in the best value for our community and for our holders. So yeah.
I think that's a very interesting opinion, because actually you yourself, you told me in the past that you mine Ethereum, right? So
yeah.
Like, you don't hear miners often saying it was a positive thing. So I think it's a very refreshing output.
Yeah.
Like me, myself, a miner, I have a positive outlook on what's happening right now. So good. So what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, of course, it's bad to doing the investment into machines, and you buy all this hardware and all these things. But at the end, I mean, I'm rooting for the success of the whole ecosystem as a whole, and not only about one particular currency. I want the whole crypto space to succeed, because without it, we all fail. So it doesn't really matter that Ethereum cannot be mined anymore, because, well, there's other coins that we can mine, and it's not like I'm going to lose my hardware. It's still going to be there. I can probably sell it to some gamers, recover some money from there. I already take a lot of profits from the mining of Ethereum, so it's not like I'm totally unhappy. But of course, it's never happy to stop receiving some revenue. But that's why we're also trying to move away from the Ethereum mining and from the GPU mining, and put it into a more complex system. And this is why Aqua Miners was born a year ago, because it's also, we were thinking about this is going to happen sooner or later. So we need to do something about it. And the only proof of work that we really think is going to be there for the coming years is going to be Bitcoin. And that's it. And that's why we combine both technologies. And that's why we come to this project, kind of like it born because of a lot of these things correlate each other.
Good. Actually, I agree. I think if we just focus on the big picture, if we focus on the years ahead of what it all means and not on the individual event, so we can see past that, we can all kind of root for the industry in general, which is, I think, a lot of miners, when they see you speaking like this, hopefully it will make them feel a little bit better. And I'm sure they can reach out to you and ask you what to do now.
Sure. I mean, all DMs are welcome. I'm a very open person. I'm willing to speak to whoever. Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid about it. Price action will be always price action in the market, but it doesn't really matter if you believe in the long term of the ecosystem as a whole, cryptocurrencies and blockchain as the future of, I don't know, monetary systems, the way we interact with smart contracts, the way we interact with any contract in life, legal contracts, real estate contracts, government contracts, identification things, things like that. If you really believe that that is the future, blockchain will solve a lot of issues on that, then you shouldn't be worried about it. I mean, you should just be invested on it. And if you're a miner, I mean, I welcome you to move to other projects and think about it positively and see the best of it and try to I don't know, to improve a little bit as well and to innovate as well.
Correct. Actually, we do know of someone that is very worried, but not necessarily about the merge. Kwon, what happened this week? South Korea issuing the arrest warrant, and I think they blocked his passport even.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a risk, right? When you're starting to build projects that involves a massive, let's say, investment from retail, and the project fails, these kind of things tend to happen. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think the creator or Docomo, I don't think he created this with the intention of scamming people or with the intention of stealing money. I think it's just the project failed, like many things in life. Like you can go back to the 90s and you see Enron. Enron was a failed project completely, but it doesn't mean there was intention to scam people or things like that. It's just that when these things happen, the media becomes present and these things become more huge of what happened. But to everybody who invests in crypto, you know what you're getting into it. There's no guarantees. There is nothing like that. There's no protections. This is you. You are the guard of your money. Whatever you put your money into it is your own responsibility. So, I mean, I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, I guess I know why the government of South Korea is doing that. They want to set an example that you shouldn't do that and you should put things in place to protect retail. But at the same time, it's like, look, we're innovating, we're creating something new. There's no way that we can predict everything, how it's going to happen. But this is innovation. This is the risk of innovation, right? Sometimes you lose money and that's the reality. So sometimes, and this is where I become a little bit more financial advice kind of role. And this is when I get into my real life kind of career. And I say, look, it is fine that you risk your money, but don't put all your money in one bag. And you have to diversify. You have to have several ways of income. And if you lose money on the Terra thing, you have at least real estate, traditional stocks, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on, so on, so on. So if you put all your money into Terra, thinking that this is the best thing because it's giving you 20% returns, then this is also your fault. And you should take responsibility of that and accountability of that. But I'm not trying to be an asshole or anything like that. It's just the reality of what happened, and this is the consequences when you do a little bit of poor management on your money and risk management. But at the end, I believe Docomo, I don't think he had the intention, and that is something that the South Korean government needs to prove. They need to prove that he had the intention to actually scam people. But I don't think they will win because he didn't have. He's never, like, he hasn't run away. He's not a shadow figure. He has openly come out and say, yes, we made a mistake. We're trying to fix it. We're trying to do our best. But this is what happens. Innovation sometimes fails and sometimes people lose money.
That's true, actually. I think a lot of people just criticize how it was handled after the deep tech happened. So that
Yeah,
just kind of, people were already angry, and then how it was handled, just people kind of went overboard with everything. And right now, not like, I think every government is going hard on certain individuals just to publicly
yeah,
be like, hey, we're on top of this technology that's everywhere, is trending on social media, it's on your TV at home, it's everywhere. Yeah, we're doing something about it. So they're just picking kind of certain situations and certain people and be like, hey, look, we're making an example since we can't yet
yeah.
completely regulate it because we don't know how. So I think that's what's going on a little bit. Of course, and then we're talking about um, South Korea. So maybe there
Yeah,
won't be any more than just kind of a trial and maybe a penalty. There's not North Korea, so maybe it won't be such a.
no, I think they will. No, definitely not North Korea. I don't think they will disappear or anything like that. But I mean, talking to a previous people that invested in Luna. I mean, I lost money in Luna as
Myself,
well,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I lost money. So it's not like I'm happy that I lose money, but I knew what I was doing. I mean, it's not like I put all my money in Luna. I take a calculated risk, and I said, okay, I'm going to put a certain amount of money there, and if I lose it, I lose it. That's it. If I make money, awesome. And this is how I approach risk. But in terms of South Korea, I think the most likely that will happen is he will have to pay some jail time. Maybe it really depends if they can really prove that he had the intention. If he did have the intention of scamming people, then he deserves to go to jail, and there is nothing else that should be done, and he should go to jail if that is the intention. But if it's just something that happens because of the ecosystem and the innovation of the industry, then yeah, probably he will get a fine. He will probably get restricted to work in blockchain again for several years, or at least they will block him to work with South Korean residents or nationals in South Korea. So we'll see what happens, but I think that will be the most likely penalty. Some monetary fine, of course, and we'll see. Or maybe South Korea will do a very innovative approach. Maybe they will go to him and say, all right, how do we fix this? Help us regulate this in a way that actually we come up with something positive out of this. How do we actually prevent this from happening again? And tell us what happened. And if it was an external hack, if it was an external attack from forces, how do we prevent this? And let's see how we do it, instead of going and attack and put more gasoline to the fire, if you want to call it like that. But I don't know. I mean, governments will do whatever sentiment of the public is, and if the sentiment of the public is anger, then yeah, the government is going to respond the same way, and they're going to try to make an example out of him, and we'll see what happens. But again, talking for somebody that also lose money in Luna, I don't hold Kwon responsible for this. He was trying to do something innovative. He failed, and I made a bet, and that's it. Pretty much, I take responsibility for the money that I put there, and that's pretty much it.
Do you think, like, what happened? There's a lot of speculation around it, right? Like, there's like, oh, it was an attack. The project was poorly made since the beginning. If you read the white paper, you can see that was bound to happen. I mean, I think the space, just everyone started speculating, and I think we have to see what the evidence is around the case to actually learn a little bit more. Even though actually he's gone in public, and he's spoken about it. So, but I think there's more to it. Like, what are your thoughts about this?
I think there is very strong evidence that it was an attack, because the amount of capital that you need to pull this off and to deploy search destabilization of a mathematical algorithm, you will need a lot of resources at the same time, in real time, to be deployed in a way that will destabilize the whole algorithm. And it is a strong inclination that it was an attack in reality, but you cannot really call it an attack, because it's not a regulated market, right? So it's part of the ecosystem as well. If you have the money, you can do it, and that's it. It's nothing you can do about it. That is what decentralization is about. But I mean, the problem is, it's always the retail, right? The retail is the one who suffers. because they don't really understand sometimes the risk. So I think more about finding the guilties of this, I think is also saying, look, you as a retail, you have an obligation of educate yourself and learn more about these, about the products that you're getting into, about the coins that you're doing, do your research, do risk management as well. But in case it is proven that it was an attack and a deliberate attack, and maybe the South Korean government seizes an attack into the technology that they developed, because, I mean, by any means, it was developed by a South African national. So in certain ways, they can say it's an attack on their own, kind of like know-how, if you want to call it like that. They could bring this to a different level and maybe escalate it to something even more serious. But maybe that will be part of the regulation. Maybe that will be part of something like, you cannot do this if you're an institution that are deploying funds and things like that. You cannot just come and attack another institution. Maybe that is part of the regulations that the ecosystem needs. Who knows? So all this is just a learning curve. It will help get everything more mature, I guess. And it helps. Everything helps. Even if it's such a negative story, I think it helps a lot to understand the risk and to understand how can we make this better.
That's correct. Actually, there's another, I think, let's say, discussion within the industry that is, did the Terra ecosystem collapse begin the bear market, or was the bear market inevitable? So what are your thoughts on this?
No, the bear market is more correlated with the traditional markets. So you have to understand, and this is something I do every day. So it all started with COVID, okay? When we started with COVID and we started lockdowns, all these type of things, and supply chains start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and China started putting a hold into the supply chain. We start seeing inflation going up. And not only that, then we have a war, right? Then we have a Russia war against Ukraine, which, by the way, it really affects Europe, because Russia, 80% of, or I think, no, 50% of the oil exports or industry energy exports goes to Europe. So imagine that, it's like an entire industry of energy completely collapsed. And on top of that, we have supply chain issues. And on top of that, if you check on the chain, there's been so much money poured by institutions into Bitcoin, especially, so much money being bought or moved from traditional hands or retail hands to institutions in the previous years of COVID, that the best example of this is Tesla. They bought a lot of Bitcoins. So a lot of that thing happened. And this is where in my opinion, this is where I see the correlation. So once the market starts going down, because there is a squeeze on the supply chain, and those companies need liquidity, they need money to keep running, to keep covering costs and things like that. And if they have Bitcoin holdings and they have a lot of it, they're gonna sell it just because they need the liquidity. And that is what's happening. So I think that started the bear market. And then you combine all the other stuff, the war in Ukraine, the problem with Luna, you combine all this stuff, the problem with Celsius as well. You combine all those stuff and it creates a perfect storm for what we're seeing right now. And yeah, and this is the bear market. But, and this is why I love Bitcoin so much, it's a perfect self-correcting system. It's so good for flushing the bad of the system that it does it automatically. And it's like all those institutions that doesn't really or not really there for the fundamentals of Bitcoin or for what believing in Bitcoin, they're just there because they want to make profits. They get flushed out. Once they sell their Bitcoins, it goes transferred to another person or to another institution or to more savvy hands that say, no, I'm going to hold this because this is maybe the future of money. So this is what I like actually about Bitcoin. So it's like a self-correcting system that flush the bad in the bear markets and leaves an entire healthy system. So this is where I'm thinking that the next bull, whenever it comes, it might be in 2024, it might be at the end of 2023, is going to be amazing. and it's always been like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Or like everything in life, it might collapse to zero, but I honestly doubt it.
That's correct. I think every true Bitcoiner is kind of riding the wave and buying a little bit more each time. And then I think maybe people who are newer to crypto are very excited as soon as it pumps a little bit. Oh, we're getting out of the bear market, then it crashes again, and then you have people freaking out all over social media. So it's been, I think, the past few weeks, a lot of people are like, oh, the bear market is over. We're heading like straight up. We're getting our new all-time highs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, we go hand in hand with other markets, and there's a lot of things going on in the world right now that maybe we're not ready for an all-time high. So like you mentioned, when do you think this bear market is going to be over? You mentioned 2023, 2024.
I mean, of course, none of this is financial advice, so I little bit disclosure there. And anything that I say here is not a prediction of how the markets will behave.
It's going to be held against you.
Yeah, so, and besides, nobody's paying me right now to become my client and to give financial advice, so there's no way I can be liable for that. So, but to give you my opinion and what I see, and because I deal with markets 24/7, this is what I do for a living. I analyze every day the markets, how it's doing, traditional markets, cryptocurrencies as well, all of it. The way I see it is, I think everybody has a fear right now that we're going to a global recession. But in my opinion, I think we're past that. We're gonna see inflation lower and lower and lower every month. It was lower in August. It was lower in September. I think we're gonna see lower in October as well. China is open up. That is something that is very good for supply chains. Russia and Ukraine are coming to a standpoint in the sense that they're like, all right, there's no movement forward or backwards, so they need to sit down in a table and negotiate. It's gonna take time for sure, but I think all these things start to move ahead. We're gonna see more positive wins. I'm pretty sure the Federal Reserve is gonna increase at least 50 basis points or maybe 75. I'm more inclined for 50, and that will put another stress in the market, and we'll go down a little bit more. But at the end, I think 2023, January, February, March should be when we said, okay, this might be the bottom of that bear market. And that's my thinking, because after Chinese New Year, things really start ramping up. And if China really starts flexibilizing this COVID policy, we're going to see a massive inflow of factories going back online. And we're still heading with the problem of energy. That is another issue, right? So the energy problem might still be there. And I think the most affected by this is going to be Europe for sure. I think US and China are very well positioned on that, but Europe for sure is going to suffer. But I don't know. I mean, the whole market is based on these two global economies, in US and China. So if these two guys are okay, the rest of the world is usually okay. So in that sense, I would say, and this is, I don't really like to give predictions, but if we manage to get lower and lower inflation from here to December, I think 2023 first quarter and maybe beginning of second quarter, we should start seeing a very nice rally of the whole markets in general, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them. And that should be very interesting because it's going to be so much money floating around that has to go somewhere. The question is where it's going to go. Is it going to go to traditional markets? Is it going to go to real estate markets? Is it going to go to cryptocurrency markets, or where? And I'm betting that this time they're going to be a little bit paying more attention to cryptocurrency markets.
Oh, they definitely are. Actually, it's everywhere. You just go on Google searches, Google Trends, YouTube Trends. I think crypto is a thing that can't be ignored anymore. Even people are not yet able to have accounts on platforms, on exchange platforms. Just kids are asking about it. I mean, I have a nephew, and he already knows a little bit about Bitcoin, and I was surprised. I was like, all right, little man, like you're asking the right questions.
Now imagine this. It's like 5 years ago, it was more talking a close kind of like a more speculative asset. And now we're talking about real exchange of services for Bitcoin, real exchange of, damn, it's even some companies are paying you in Bitcoin. So we're talking now salaries. We're talking about booking flights. We're talking about buying products and services with this kind of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin or Ethereum, or other currencies. So in my opinion, we're going in the right direction. We're going to have some trouble, I would say 6 months to 12 months, because again, macro economy is still very present, right? We still have a lot of issues in terms of macro. But look, it's cycles. I've seen this in traditional markets as well. Everything will be fine. It's just another blip in the market. And 4 years from now, everybody's going to be laughing about this period of time, and something else will happen in that time. Maybe it will be COVID 55 or some stuff like that. I hope not. But
oh God, no, not on wood, please.
Yeah, I hope not. But who knows? I mean, it's always like I always tell my clients, the world. Yeah, it's some stuff like that. It's like I always tell my clients, look, the world is always burning. And that is just a fact. If you take a news in 1980s, you're going to find a news that is negative. You find it in 1990s is the same. In 2005 is the same. So don't worry too much. The important is stay invested. Keep doing what you're doing in terms of strategy. If your strategy is to accumulate Bitcoin, keep doing it. Accumulate Ethereum, keep doing it. Get into the new technology stuff. Get into NFTs. I mean, that is a lot of potential as well in there. We'll see what else comes out of there. So yeah, get into new stuff, get into traditional stuff, get into boring stuff, have some bit of cash, have some real estate, diversify as much as possible, but don't discard cryptocurrency just because you think is a scam or a speculative asset or anything like that. So inform yourself, talk to people, watch videos like this, and yeah, my DMs are always welcome if you want to talk more about anything.
That's true. Actually, it can't be ignored. Like, I think most of the big names are kind of getting involved in Web3 crypto somehow. This week, a big topic of discussion in Twitter was the Starbucks rewards program. And I was surprised when this goes trending, how people were like not surprised by it. A lot of people were like, oh, they were not, in the metaverse already. Like, is that not a thing? When they hear a big name, a lot of people just assume they're already involved in this industry. So I thought that was very interesting. It's a great step. And I kind of dived in and read a little bit, and I found a bunch of articles that were absolutely funny. And they were just attacking Starbucks. And then they were like, oh, you're just to get new customers. Look, I can read you some lines for the article because it's really funny.
I completely get it. I know why some Web3 enthusiast people will think like that. I actually think a little bit of the same. Like I'm not against Starbucks, and I think actually big companies getting into the space is good for massification of the whole space and the whole ecosystem. But however, I think Starbucks is just doing this because they want a piece of the market as well. So that is completely normal. I mean, it's a company being a company. Is the chief marketing officer, is the CEO saying, we have 1 trillion market here that we need to start tapping into it. We need to start getting some revenue from there. And I completely get it, and it's fine. I mean, Starbucks is in their right to do that, and I welcome that. But to be honest, it's more a publicity stunt done by Starbucks to get some share of the market. I was in a space talking about with artists, and I told them, look, I would love to see an actual like a retail coffee barista that actually build a community and do something with NFTs, and we actually put that barista in the spotlight and that person, because come on, I mean, Starbucks is gonna be Starbucks no matter what. But a barista that is starting his own business, that is trying to make it in a tough industry, I would definitely support that more than Starbucks. But that's my own opinion, and that's what I would do. But yeah.
Actually, like I have right here one of the articles I read, and I thought it was really funny because the title says, Starbucks explains how its dumbass NFT program works. And actually, this article went viral, and the hate it got, it was just, and you wouldn't think this is coming from someone that is giving hate for Starbucks and is also giving hate to the industry. It's just saying they're struggling, so they're going into Web3 marketing to try and save what's left of their business with their immersive coffee experience for their overpriced coffee, which is true. I think Starbucks is a big name, but it has been like, I think people are more focused on other type of brands and not the big guys anymore. And I think that's what crypto represents as well.
No, I'm nothing against big brands. Like big brands also help. They're there because they're done an enormous amount of job for 40 years or something like that. So I cannot discredit what Starbucks has done as a brand, right? It's insane to say that Starbucks is not a valuable company. Of course it is. It's the same as saying that Nike is not a valuable company. Of course it is. It's companies that have been here forever and they deserve their place in there. However, I also think like you shouldn't just focus on, because Starbucks there, so I'm going to jump into NFTs. No, jump into NFTs because there's a lot of things in NFT world as well, like new artists, support some new communities, but don't just say, I'm just going to jump just because Starbucks got in. But it will help the ecosystem as well, because once the big brands get involved, it's also a huge marketing pool for the little guys. So it also helps the little guys. But again, the problem with Web3 is this very community-centric kind of industry. So it all depends on community, which I see in Web2, it all depends on marketing, which is different. It's like the more you push your marketing style because if you think about it, what does actually Starbucks sell apart from coffee?
And it's not even that good, actually, the coffee, I would say.
Yeah, but what do you think is the Starbucks brand? What represents the Starbucks?
Well, I think that what you're saying about community and marketing is not necessarily true, because community is marketing in a way. Like, how do you build the community? You market yourself. So I think it's just different type of marketing.
Correct.
I think
that's what I'm saying.
They just have
a different type of marketing.
They just have a different approach. Like, I'm sure Starbucks, like if we research, it just didn't become a huge corporation like overnight. They built it by building a community, by building followers. And let's hope many of the Web3 projects get to that level, right? So I think that's what we're trying for. But the community of Starbucks, because
what I say when I say marketing is just about the type of marketing. Like, they didn't market it coffee. That's my point. Their product is not coffee, to be honest. The Starbucks, what actually sells, in my opinion, is a lifestyle. You go to a Starbucks store, and it's a different store. It's not like it's not like a normal coffee shop. It's like it's well ambientated. It's very nice sofas. It smells good. It has a chilling vibe. It's that kind of lifestyle that attracts young, millennial, middle-aged people. And on bonus of that, they sell their coffee, which is what their product is.
And
but I think it's
walking into the office with a $22 cup of coffee. It's a lifestyle. Like,
correct.
Why do you buy expensive cars?
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
That's what it says.
But again, it took a lot of branding. It took a lot of effort to get where they're there. And I'm not discrediting that. It's just that getting into NFTs, which I completely welcome, and I know that will help the system as well. I also encourage the people that is happy for that to be more, all right, you know what? Since now I get into Starbucks, I'm going to go and support the little ones as well. I'm going to get into some barista coffee that he's also trying to do some NFTs or sell coffee through NFTs, because he's trying to make it up as well. And that's what I kind of like about, if your community is coffee, don't just stay on Starbucks community. Explore the whole community of NFTs around coffee. And then that's basically what I'm trying to say.
So actually, speaking of communities, like going from Starbucks, let's talk about another project that's been very successful, and it's really trending. Do you know about the project Sweatcoin? Have you heard about it?
No, fuck, I didn't read about that one, Letty. I read about that one.
No, Sweatcoin. All right. So it's kind of like their vision. I will tell you a lot about it. It's like Sweatcoin is a free app which rewards your daily steps with a new generation currency that you can spend on products, donate to charity, or convert into sweat. So actually, I think this is
okay. This is like Step and
yeah, something like
similar.
that. Similar, but they are really, really going big on their project. And I think if this week it was on 3 positions on Google Trends. So they're absolutely doing something right, especially with their charity program. I think taking the charity approach is very good for the industry and very good for a project to market on. Of course, for the charity itself as well, not trying to do it on the marketing side, but I think it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts, maybe not on this project in general, but how about the project getting involved on this type of sub area, right? Health, wellness. We haven't seen that part as much.
I mean, I saw that one with Stepan, which was a project burn here in China, actually, in Hong Kong. Was very popular among Chinese, and it basically rewards you for going outside and having a walk or jogging. But the problem with that, I think, is value, of course, and they're giving to charity is also very nice. But the problem with that kind of value is that it becomes a little bit legalities in the middle. Like who is oversighting that they're actually giving the money to the charities? Who's oversighting that they're gonna say that, I don't know, 50% of the revenue goes to charities or 20% or whatever? Who is regulating that? So it becomes tricky. So this is why the US is saying that most of NFTs that have some value need to be oversight or regulated, which is bad and it's good at the same time. But that's kind of like, I mean, great for them. I mean, they're gonna do well, and I think it's an awesome value and awesome utility. And if you go and do exercise, great for health. Damn, I'm all for that. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end with this kind of stuff, it's always about regulation, to be honest. And it happens with Stepan as well. The Chinese government start regulating them, and they don't let them basically operate in China, so they lose their market. They lose 60% of their market overnight. So it's kind of like that thing. So you need to be careful about.
Well, something that I've seen is that it can only advance if we have enough similar projects, right? So like if it's just 1 or 2 projects like this, maybe it'll get some buzz, it will do well, and then it will crash. But if enough projects are pushing into the wellness, into this kind of field within the industry, I think the future can be, very well, especially since I think we live in a very healthy society lately. Like people are more inclined to working out, to trying sports, no matter the age. We're always trying, like, I think you go on your social media and you see, I don't know, someone that didn't exercise before, now it's 60 and is doing CrossFit. I think exercise, wellness, taking care of yourself, whether it's emotional or physically, is really, really kind of a trend that's been going on the last few years. So if we can relate it to the industry, I think there's like very big things that can be done, even on the
I mean all the NFTs that bring utility for me is the next step, so it's all welcome. I mean that's the way going forward. Artists will be a huge part of that, because they have to still design the NFTs. The art will still be the attractive thing to do in the first place. So art will still be very important, but I think the combination of art and utility is the right approach, or I should say art plus value. And that's what I think a lot of projects are focusing on. This is what we are focusing as well. This is something that we are working from the get-go, starting a year ago. How we're going to give value to our community? What is this NFT going to represent? Apart from a very cool and dope art that we based on the 90s vibe. So all these things placed together and combined form a very interesting project. So I have nothing against Sweat. I mean, I think they'll do great, but you should be careful in terms of regulation, just because when you talk about charities, it is a different level of regulation up there. So you need to be aware of that. and you need to be, as a user, that make sure that it's very clear who's going to be the charities and how they're going to do these things. So that will be my two thoughts on that.
True. I think we can maybe in a few months discuss this topic again and see what's going on with the project. I think that'll be very interesting to observe how it grows. Now, another one that's been, I think this is the last topic we can discuss, and then I can leave you alone for tonight. I think I want to discuss a little bit about APE Coin, because actually it did very well. It reached its high like extremely quickly. I think, well, I myself managed to buy under, $5 and then managed to sell over 17. Same. So it was a pretty well strategy, but it crashed the same speed as its pump. So right now it started to pump again because of their staking, right? That they just announced. It's not even active yet. They just made the announcement. And I think with this type of crypto, it's more media related, how it manages itself. So I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I think APE Coin is just the pioneer. It's the first in the game. It was the first successful NFT that reached amazing levels of price. Their APE Coin, I think, has value as well, or is coming more valuable in the sense that they're developing things that is going to be used on using that APE Coin. So I think I am bullish on APE Coin as well. I'm not saying that you should go and dive all your money into APE Coin, of course not.
Financial advice.
Yeah, but for sure, I mean, it's a project that is Bored Ape Club, right? It's the first one, is the most successful one. They're building amazing things on the other side as well. They're building an inclusive game in the metaverse. It's really, really cool what they're trying to do. They have the money to do it. They have the marketing behind them. They have the VCs behind them. They're becoming like a real solid company that you should invest on. And I think it's gonna become at the end, their coin is gonna become more valuable for sure. Maybe it's gonna become the way to invest in that company. We will wait to see. And this is one of the issues again, is regulatory issues, right? So because you have a coin that represents a company and you're basically representing the value of that company on that coin. So the SEC in the US see this as a security, and that is the problem. So, and now there's more and more conversation about securities being related to staking contracts. So now if you stake APE Coin, the US government is saying, this is a security for sure. We're gonna regulate this thing. So you need to be careful about that. And I think there's still a lot of regulation things that we're not clear about it. I think governments are trying to make it clear, but I feel we're still far away. So invest cautiously, invest conservatively, buy a little bit, maybe do something called dollar cost averaging, which basically means a strategy of buying a lot of units in a period of time or a very long time. And that will maximize, I would say, your profits and will decrease your risk as well by a lot. And that's the best way to do it. But APE Coin for sure, great project. I mean, first of the game, I have some. I encourage you to have some. It's Bored Ape Club.
Absolutely. A lot of people are comparing APE to Axie actually. So they're saying
no, I think it's
it's completely different. It's completely different, but that is one of the topics of discussions that's been on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see the relation why they're thinking that, but Bored Ape Club is doing completely different things. They're trying to create video games. They're trying to become a video game brand. They're trying to become a game studio, just so to speak. And they're more aiming to the metaverse kind of environment. They're trying to create a more huge metaverse inclusive thing and trying to create their own. And this is what I know about Bored Ape Club. They're trying to create their own marketplace as well. So they're trying to move away from OpenSea and trying to bring all these other brands together as well to the other side. And this is one of the biggest projects that they're also doing. So it's going to be very interesting, to be honest. I think it's something you should have on your radar for sure. I don't think it should be compared to Axie. Axie is more a game, and that's it. But Bored Ape Club is a brand. It's literally a brand. It's becoming a more and more valuable brand. And that's always valuable, especially in bear markets. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think people just got edgy with the huge pump, and then with the mint of the other side land that they were kind of expecting a an ROI that was like, if I buy this right now, you know, the floor price is going to be the same as the original NFTs within a short period of time. So a lot of people are like, okay, this is my moment to, you know, make this $1 million.
That would have been possible if we didn't have so much macro environment issues right now. I think if we didn't have inflation problems, war problems, supply chain issues, COVID, we could have seen the other side to reach those levels for sure. I mean, and there is no reason why when the bull markets become again or come back, there's no reason why the other side would do that well as well. So it's I mean, it's a little bit of patience that you have to have. It's not always make rich one like fast scheme to make yourself rich. It's not always like that. And what I've learned about crypto is never a straight arrow. It's always it always shows you some curve that you never predicted and some things that you never saw coming, and it throws you out of your chair, and it's like it's emotions and it's a lot of that. But if you have a well-sound strategy, again, diversify, not just invest in one thing, and have all these things in place, you're going to reduce your risk and you're going to enjoy the ride even more. And that's the way I see it. For example, when I see Bitcoin at 20 or 19, I'm like, damn, this is good. I'm going to buy more. But this is me being me. This is me being me. So, but yeah, I understand the emotional ride. So yeah.
So I think in general, it's just people be patient, think long term, and take responsibility.
Yes, take responsibility of your investments. Of course, this is something you need to be accountable of. You cannot just rely on government saying, "Hey, I lost money, I want it back." No, it doesn't work like that. So you need to study, do your research, and be accountable for your own decisions. But do research, be cautious, but don't be extremely cautious. Give the benefit of the doubt. There's projects there that might do very well. Just inform yourself well. Reduce your risk. Don't put all your money into one basket. Invest in traditional markets as well. Invest into market. Have cash. Have cryptocurrencies. Diversify as much as possible, and enjoy the ride. Have fun.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, Sebastian, for joining me tonight.
No worries, Letizia. I invite everybody to come and visit us at aquaminers.com. We're trying to build something great as well. Our NFT is also pretty cool, pretty dope. And we're trying to build a mix between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So there's room for you two guys. If you're a Bitcoin excellence or Ethereum excellence, you have both. You have the best of the both worlds. So yeah, come check it out. Come support us or not. Give us some feedback, bad feedback. I love bad feedback. Come at me. Give me some DMs saying we're shit and tell us where we're gonna need to improve, and we'll make it better for you. So yeah, that will be it. So thanks, Leti, for having me, and we'll talk later on.